Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my podcast. This is your host, Simran Jaspal. A very happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful moms out there. Today's episode is Mother's Day special, and why not? Let's acknowledge a sour truth today and pledge to reverse this pattern established over decades now. Anxiety, frustration, tired, no me time, eating kids' leftovers, no gym, and hardly getting time to shower. So familiar and so part of the parenting. I can fully relate to this because I have a kid and I've been through all these emotions, and sometimes I still do. So let's get started. Grab a cup of tea or coffee. Let's dig in. Reports say that 78% of moms say that they put off taking care of their own health to take care of their family. Well, not going much far, we can see our own moms, especially all Indian moms, are titled as kitchen queen. But has anyone asked them if they want that title? This brings me to my today's topic, that is self-care. Self-care is an important part of parenting. The kind of self-care you want as an individual might be different from what you might need. Would you like if your children sacrifice their life for their kids at the cost of their lack of self-care? The answer is no. There's nothing bad in sacrificing for the well-being of your child, but at the cost of your mindfulness? No. Have you heard you can't give what you don't have? Well, let me tell you a story. Imagine you and your neighbor in your respective gardens, and there are two giant trees, and you both decide to get rid of those trees because they block the beautiful sunlight and you need to do extra work to clean the fallen leaves every day. So both of you decide to saw down your trees on a Sunday. You secretly decide to begin early in the morning so that you're done by the time your neighbor wakes up. Now you wake up on a Sunday morning and you take out your old saw from your basement and you start sawing. After 3 hours of hard work, you've just got done with 1/3 of it. Your neighbor wakes up and he comes and says, "Oh, why did you start so early?" And you say, "I wake up early and I'm a productive person." Then your neighbor brings his saw and sits down to sharpen it. Then he starts sawing the tree, and after an hour, the tree saws and falls down. And then he sits again to sharpen the saw for the next time. He grabs a drink and walks up to you and tells you, "Why don't you take a few minutes and sharpen your saw? You will be much faster." And you say, "Sorry, I can't sharpen my saw because I'm too busy to sawing down the tree, and my tree is much thicker than yours, otherwise I would have finished it already." So mums, what do you learn from the story? That we don't take the time out to regenerate ourselves. In this case, it's sharpening the saw. We don't take time to sharpen our saw. We often forget to regenerate ourselves and our mind when it comes to our body. There are few areas which we need to regenerate from time to time, and these are our physical self, mental self, spiritual self, and social emotional self. So mommies, even if you think you are and will give selflessly to your kids, you actually cannot. If you don't have enough energy, enough peace, enough self-fulfillment, you cannot possibly give those things to your child. So fill your cup so much that it starts brimming the joy, fulfillment, energy, health, and all the things that you wish for your children. Are you convinced? Well, if you're still unconvinced, listen to this. You model for your children the importance of self-care when you give importance to the activities you love to do. So never feel guilty about your pleasure time. Let's get creative figuring out the paramount self-care. Also remember, self-care could be different for all of us. What activity gives you happiness might not be on my priority list, or it may be on the lowest level of my list. So think of yourself what you need to feel more energetic and what you need to be more energetic. The number one is you are your priority. Being committed to self-care is the most important thing, so get into that mindset. When you start practicing self-care, you might slide into the old pattern because you might feel guilty. But remember, self-care is not an indulgence. It's a necessity. A tip for you here is you can write it on the piece of paper and stick it around the house and see whenever you're coming or going or just moving around in the house. Number 2 is get help. If you need, look around. It could be a cook, a full-time maid, help from the family members. Don't hesitate and voice it. Ask for help, and believe me, you will receive it. Now, getting a maid is another financial issue, but this can be dealt with. A very common trend in foreign countries is play dates, that is sending your child over to their friend's house once a week and vice versa. And you can use that time for yourself. But an important note here is to be satisfied with the loyalty of the people you're sending your child to. Only if you trust them. So someone you trust is watching over them. This brings me to number 3. Declutter the house, especially the toy area. Get rid of those unwanted toys your kids have not been playing for so long now. Give them away. Tidying up the space gives you so much mental peace. I can refer you to read a book named The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. So keep things only that sparks joy, as she states in the book. Declutter your schedules even. Having a bit of time for your breath, for yourself, is utmost important than everything that you put on that schedule of yours. What self-care is not? Getting on phones, stuck on social media is not self-care. Keep that in mind. Self-care is what gives you energy and something that regenerates you. Next is encourage independent play. Even if it's in the same room, your child can play by himself and you can just sit your feet up with your feet up, do breathing exercises or write something or read. You can daydream. It will make you happy. I will list some of the points on how to encourage your kids to play alone in my next podcast. Click gratitudes into little things you do, like brushing your hair, washing utensils, making bed, etc. Just focus on your breath and say gratitudes of what you are feeling when you're doing what you're doing. Simplify the feel-good factor ways. Like you can't go for a facial or a spa, do a little homemade scrub. A tip for you. Mix sugar and lemon and apply it in circular motion. It's a great scrub. Or do a 15-minute yoga or walk session instead of 1 hour of rigorous workout or gym, which we never find time for. So the whole idea is to try and get a little what you like. Show your kids that you prioritize you. It's important. Like I said, you're modeling this for them. So be proud. Take advantage of early mornings. You can do certain things for self-care during that time. Light a candle while having dinner once a while. I mean, why not? Be kind to yourself. Practice self-care. And remember to choose your non-negotiable more than anything. Make a list or write on a whiteboard and start now. See you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.